Hello everybody, it's time to count down the top 10 best-selling light novels in Japan, this covering March 26th to April 1st of 2018. Hello everybody, and welcome to the weekly countdown of the top 10 best-selling light novels in Japan. This week we're covering from March 26th to April 1st of 2018. Last week we had almost a nuclear option of the list where all but only one title had survived. This week, half of the list gets replaced. Not too shocking considering the sort of behemoth titles that hit the list last week. Now, a lot of the newer titles, though, are ones that we don't have English licenses for. So, kind of an interesting mix of titles this week, so let's get into it. At number 10, with 7,538 copies sold, volume number 5 of Tensei Ouji wa Daraketai. Also, it translates roughly to The Prince-Reincarnated Wants to Slack Off. Now, funny enough, this is one of those ones that there's 5 volumes in Japan, but very, very little information in English. There is a manga spin-off of this series already that, again, I saw lots of raw versions and scans of it, but nothing really translated to tell me exactly what this series was about. Roughly translated with Google, we have a character, Yoko Ichinose. He's a college student. He wakes up one day and discovers that he has been reincarnated as a prince, Phil Greshthart. And pretty much at this point, because he's become a prince, he pretty much wants to slack off and have an easy life. I mean, hey, he's rich, he's powerful, it's all good. The only problem is that he keeps attracting huge attention to himself. So, even things like dishes and desserts that he wanted made because he could get them now, he would create a huge stir because, of course, they're dishes from our world that obviously don't exist in this world. And he seems to have an affinity with magical beasts and everything else. So pretty much one of those series where, again, we have a modern-day person from Japan who is reincarnated into a life where they see opportunity to chill out and slack off, and unfortunately their skills, abilities, and knowledge from our world pretty much make that impossible. At number 9, with 7,782 copies sold, volume number 12 of Hai to Gensou no Grimgar, or Grimgar of Fantasy and Ash. This one a hanger-on from last week. We do have it licensed for English release by J-Novel Club as far as the ebook releases go. J-Novel is releasing April 8th. Volume 8 is releasing in April of 2018. 7 Seas is releasing the print volumes. They're about 3 volumes behind. The manga is licensed by Yen Press. Kind of funny, it's like we've got basically the 3 major light novel companies. You've got 7 Seas, Yen, and you've got J-Novel, all with their hands in this title one way or another. Geez, if Vertical could get themselves a piece of it, we'd pretty much have the trifecta. There was a 12-episode anime plus 1 OVA, which covered volumes 1 and 2, and it is streaming on Crunchyroll. This one, of course, a isekai about a group of people who are summoned to another world. They pretty much only have a memory of their name, and that's about it. The series takes a much more gritty and darker approach to the material. The initial battles show the lack of experience that these people have. They are brutal and messy, and it's kind of a bit more of a gut-wrenching type series. I've only read the first one. I do have volume 2, actually. It's just one of those series that I keep wanting to get back to and just end up falling more and more behind as I get distracted by newer stuff. At number 8, with 8,153 copies sold, volume number 11 of Rokudenashi Majutsu Koushi to Akashic Records. or in English, Akashic Records of the Bastard Magical Instructor, We have no English license for the light novels. The manga is licensed for English release by 7 Seas. They're releasing volume 3 in April. The anime adaptation was 12 episodes. It was licensed in North America by Funimation. This, of course, is another title, one of the 5 that hangs on from last week, about a magical academy where one of the best teachers, most sort of revered teachers, retires and is replaced by a teacher who appears to be a complete lazy bastard. So, yeah, so it's a magical academy, I guess, battle type, I'm assuming is probably a battle type series. Unfortunately, we do not have the light novels, like I said, and because we don't have the light novels, I haven't watched the anime because I'm always kind of holding out some hope that we might get more titles in the future. At number 7, with 8,231 copies sold, Volume 10 of Seirei Gensouki. This one we have no English license for. Amakawa Haruto is a young man who died before reuniting with his childhood friend who disappeared 5 years ago. Ryo is a boy living in the slums who wants revenge for his mother who was murdered in front of him when he was 5 years old. Earth and Another World. 2 people with completely different backgrounds and values. For some reason, the memories and personality of Haruto, who should have died, is resurrected in Ryo's body. As the two are confused over their memories and personalities fusing together, Ryo decides to live in this new world. Along with Haruto's memories, Ryo awakens an unknown special power, and it seems that if he uses it well, he can live a better life. But before that, Ryo encountered a kidnapping that turns out to involve 2 princesses of the Bertram kingdom that he lives in. After saving the princesses, Ryo is given a scholarship to the Royal Academy, a school for the rich and powerful. Being a poor orphan in a school full of nobles turns out to be an extremely detestable place to stay at. Now, I have heard actually from quite a number of you that this is a really cool series. It has appeared on this list a number of times since I started covering the list, I guess, back in July of 2017. I believe we've had at least 3 volumes. Well, this will be the 3rd one. When it first came on the list, I was very sort of like, how does that work? You know, 2 people in there and yeah. But apparently, like I said, a number of you have said that it actually turns out not to just be sort of a goof kind of mechanic, that it actually works and adds quite a bit of interest and depth to the novel. Again, it's a series that obviously is popular in Japan, has managed to make it to double digits, but there's really not a lot of information about it in English other than the odd, novel updates, and so far it's not a title that seems to come up very often when you're talking to people about titles that they want to see licensed in English. So I'm not sure if this is going to be one of those titles that we get, unless for some reason an anime gets greenlit, and then, well, all bets are off. At number 6, with 9,805 copies sold, volume number 24 of Mahouka Koukou no Rettousei. Of course, that's the Irregular at Magic High School. It has been on the list for weeks now. The Battle Magic High School type title. We do have it licensed by Yen On. They released Volume 7 on March 27th of 2018. There was a 26 anime which covered Volumes 1 to 7, but excluded Volume 5, which you can stream on Crunchyroll. So at least a series. It's also got a manga spin-off that is also licensed by Yen Press. I think it's called The Honor Student at Magic High School. I'm not too sure how the manga differs, whether it's sort of like just an adaptation or whether it's sort of telling the series from a different point of view. If you have any ideas, let me know in the comments down below. At number 5, with 10,173 copies sold, Volume 18 of Date Alive. Again, this is a title we have no English license for. It's had 22 plus 2 OVA anime episodes, was licensed for North American release by Funimation. The anime covered roughly volumes 1 to 7 of the light novel series. The Series about a average boy who is suddenly being told to amass a harem of spiritually superpowered girls so that they fall in love with him and don't destroy the world. That's kind of the gist that I get of it. Sounds like it could be cute. Sounds like it could be a cool series. It has a huge following, obviously. But for whatever reason, well, okay. This is a Fujimi Fantasia title, which we've been talking a bit about that recently. In fact, talked about that in the recent licensing announcement video, because the whole Mom Isekai book that Yen On has licensed is a Fujimi Fantasia imprint, which Date Alive is part of. So I think there's a lot of, well, okay, there's not maybe a lot of, but I think there's some rumblings of excitement in the community now that for a long time, Fujimi's Fantasia sort of subprint, they've not licensed any of their titles out of it for English release. And so now that we seem to have maybe broken that barrier, we're kind of fingers crossed, but we'll see what happens. Date Alive, though, I think is a prime title for that. I mean, yes, it is a long series already, which I think kind of decreases the interest that some English companies would have in it. But nonetheless, I mean, you cannot argue with the fan base or the sales numbers for the series, so maybe we'll see what happens down the road. At number 4, with 10,434 copies sold, Volume 8 of Kenja no Mago, aka Magi's Grandson. This is another title that's new to the list this week that we do not have an English license for. Thanks to various magic, the human race has been saved from calamity many, many times. Retaining his memories from his previous life, a boy, Shin, was picked up by an old man known to the world as a Magi. Shin was brought up by the Magi, who had retired to a secular place as his own grandson. With the memories of his past life, he absorbed the Magi's craft and grew to be able to develop his own magic. Then the grandfather told him he has to become independent when he reaches the age of 15. Oh, I forgot to teach him common sense. The grandson, who has grown beyond the level of normal people, lacked common sense. The common sense of the world. So to learn how to socialize, he goes to Earlshide Kingdom City to be admitted to Earlshide Advanced Magic Academy. So the only thing that I'm kind of interested about with this one is that, and I mean, I don't know the answer, is whether Shin is, whether this is an isekai of our world reborn into this world of magic, or whether this is like he was a kid in this world, and so because he retains his memories of this world, that's what particularly makes him stronger in magic. But I have to think that it's not that he's of this world, because that would kind of negate the whole I have no common sense element. I'm not too sure, because the descriptions you can find in English really don't make it very clear. But this is not the first time that this title has been on the top 10. It is a fairly popular title if you go by the sales. Again, no word if there'll ever be an English release for it. There is no anime that I am aware of, and that seems to be almost a precursor to us getting these titles. Either that, or in the case of, like, say, Isekai Mom, which was just recently licensed, it has to be something that's created some kind of crazy sort of media stir that's kind of enticed companies to think that, oh, if we bring this over, the curiosity factor will make people buy it. So in any case, yeah, we don't really have this one. If you're a little familiar with the title, if you know a little bit more about it, let me know in the comments down below. Is it a modern Japanese boy who's been reborn into this world of fantasy, and that's kind of why he has no world common sense? Let me know in the comments down below. At number 3, with 10,995 copies sold, Volume 15 of Toaru Ossan no VRMMO Katsudouki, also known as A Certain Middle-Aged Man's VRMMO Activity Log. 38-year-old Tanaka Daiichi's childhood dream of playing a VRMMO has finally come to life. As he creates his character, he decides to choose skills that are considered useless by others, since he has no interest in playing like a main character. Follow the adventures of Daiichi as he strives to use his mismatched set of worthless skills to achieve his dream goal of simply being able to enjoy an alternate life in a virtual reality. So this one, again, this is one that has appeared on the list previously, like previous volumes have appeared on the list. And I know at the time we talked about it, we were saying, you know, this is another one of those titles that's reflecting another trend that we're seeing increasing in light novels in Japan, which is of middle-aged characters. And in particular on this one, like middle-aged characters that are into things like gaming and everything else, which, I mean, as a guy in his 40s who plays video games, I find completely reasonable and believable. And I have to admit that if somebody said to me, hey, we've created this game that it's a VRMMO and, you know, you can actually make it feel like you're living an alternate life in a game, I'd probably pick that one up too. This one, obviously, the sort of shtick of it all, though, is that we have a character who isn't even looking to play that game in terms of, I want to be a well-known and powerful hero, but actually just somebody who's got skills that I can get by and just kind of like enjoy my time in the world, which my guess would be that he, obviously, those skills will end up being a lot more useful than he thinks and will make him much more powerful than he thinks, because that just seems to be how light novels go. Plus, I mean, this is volume 15. I just can't see a series lasting 15 volumes where the main character really does nothing except chill out and enjoy the alternate world. The one thing that I'd be curious about with this series as well is just how much of his real life do we see? Just how much of, is there a story about his real life that sort of says and justifies why he feels like he wants to escape it into a virtual existence? That would be really curious. I'd be curious to see that element of it as well. But again, I don't know. And this is not one that we have in English. So, I don't know if I'm ever going to know. But hey, if you do, let me know in the comments down below. At number 2, with 14,047 copies sold, volume number 14 of Tsuki ga Michibiku Isekai Douchuu, also known as Moon-Led Journey Across Another World. This is a series that we do not have an English license for. High school student Misumi Makoto is called into a fantasy world by the god Tsuki in order to be a hero. However, the goddess ruling the world isn't as thrilled to have him there, and kicks him to the edge of the world. Tsukuyomi declares that Makoto is free to find his own way after Makoto is abandoned by the other goddess. Again, this is a series, it's fun to do these videos over a long time. You start seeing which series just keep on coming back to the top 10. This is one that is, again, one of those series that makes an appearance on the top 10 every time it has a new volume. You know, and I've heard from a number of you in previous videos that this volume has appeared, that it is a fairly decent series. You know, you gotta love that whole, like, I am God and I have brought you to this world to be a hero. Wait. I'm a god, and I never asked for that. So you know what? Just go over there where you can't bug anybody. Go over there. And then the god who summons you is like, well, you know, I can't really. Nah, well, you're on your own, kid. Good luck. I'm very curious to know what kind of character that makes the main character. Like, is this one of those almost like revenge fueled type things where it's like, I don't even care about being a hero anymore. I just want to kick all of these gods' butts because they have ticked me off. I'd be really interested to know if it's like that. And I think that would make the series really fun. But, well, you know, I mean, obviously it still would be a good series to kind of see his adventures as he tries to get back. And I don't know what, like, if you're familiar with this series, is he trying to get back to a point that would allow him to return to his homeworld? Or is he trying to get back to the place where he was supposed to be deposited into this world to sort of retake on this journey to become a hero? I'm just kind of curious, because I don't know if we're ever going to get this one in English, but like I said, it comes up a number of times on the top 10, so I'm just kind of interested to know a little bit more about the series. Finally, at number 1, with 21,225 copies sold, Volume 16 of ReZero Kara Hajimeru Isekai Seikatsu, ReZero, Starting Life in Another World. Now this one was actually number 2 on the list last week. Data Live actually beat it out for number 1. You know what, I should look at actual release dates. I believe ReZero only had like maybe a day or 2 on the list when last week's list came out. But I also think that this is one of those series, particularly because of the anime, that it just has sort of a bit more longevity. It's not like one of those series where all the fans show up on day 1, pick up the copy, which boom, gets it to the top of the top 10, and then that's it. Like, the sales really drop off. It seems to be one of those series, every time it hits the list, it hovers in that sort of top 4 for a little while. Now, given my affection for the series, I just read and reviewed, actually, volume number 6. I am not surprised by that, because it is a fantastic series, definitely one of the better written ones that we have being translated into English. So yeah, I'm not too shocked to see this one doing well. Obviously, the fact that I'm reviewing it and reading it, it is licensed for English release by Yen On, and they also are doing the manga release through their Yen Press imprint. Of course, there was the anime, like I mentioned. It covered volumes 1 to 9 a bit, so we're still a little ways from catching up with the anime, but it's a fantastic series, one that I have really enjoyed to date so far. And in this video, I want to give a special shout out to Kyle Block, Yuki Ali, Mitchell Van Regen, and Bob Thompson for their support on Patreon and for the support of all of my patrons who help to keep this channel going and are helping to create new projects that I am hoping to come forward with some news about very soon. So those are your top 10 best-selling light novels in Japan for the week of March 26th to April 1st of 2018. Pretty good list. I'd say it's a pretty good mix of titles, and a pretty good mix of titles that we have both licensed and unlicensed. Join me here next week when we'll see how many of these titles manage to hang on to the list. So if you love light novels and you're brand new to the channel, you should consider subscribing. I do this countdown on a weekly basis, as well as doing 2 to 3 light novel reviews every week as well. Thank you so much for joining me in this video, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Till then, bye-bye for now.